Jay Cochran, a U.S. Navy pilot, skillfully flies his plane over the dry desert near the Mexican border. His best friend, Madero, sits behind him as the radio officer. Jay teasingly asks Madero if he's ever shown him his cabin, even though he has many times before. As the plane dips low, Madero struggles with motion sickness. To lighten the mood, Jay tells him to relax, showing off his flying skills during what would be his last flight as a naval pilot. Meanwhile, in the harsh desert, a wounded man is left to die under the blazing sun. Despite his injuries, he uses his last bit of strength to crawl, hoping to escape and find help. Jay and Madero return to their base. They are surprised to find a farewell party for Jay. Madero opens a case with gifts from Jay's old friend, Tiburon Mendez, which includes 2 Beretta shotguns and an invitation to visit him in Mexico. Jay feels both excitement and uncertainty about the invitation. His fellow pilots also give him a Rolex watch as a parting gift. Overwhelmed with emotion, Jay delivers a touching speech, struggling to say goodbye to the friends and the place he has called home for 12 years. A few days later, Jay decides to take Taby's vacation offer, excited for a break from his usual routine. He tells Madero he hasn't picked a return date yet. With Madero's help, he loads his bags into the truck, ready to head to Mexico with his dog, Rocky. In Puerto Vallarta, Jay drives through the busy streets, trying to find Taby's place using a confusing handwritten map. He gets lost and asks a young woman walking with a horse for directions. To his surprise, she asks if he's Mr. Cochran. Curious, he asks her name and learns she is Mrs. Mendez, Taby's younger wife. He smiles at the coincidence, amused that he's asking his friend's wife for help, which means he's close to his destination. After their brief chat, she tells him to go to the first gate on the left. Jay thanks her with a smile and heads toward Taby's well-guarded property. Inside the mansion, a man greets Jay with a smirk. He orders a houseboy to get Jay's bags, but Jay says he wants to find a place by the beach instead. The man, slightly annoyed since they have a room ready for him, introduces himself as Cesar, Taby's right-hand man. Later, Jay finds Taby practicing tennis on his hacienda's court. He playfully teases Taby about his missed shots. Taby, smiling warmly, hugs Jay, happy to see his friend after a long time. They then play tennis together, just like old times. After the game, tired but content, they head to the patio to eat. Jay gives Taby a brown leather pilot jacket as he enjoys some caviar. Grateful, Taby quickly tries on the jacket, pleased with the gift. Jay thanks Taby for the guns he received at the retirement party. As he gets ready to leave for the night, Taby mentions he's planning a hunting trip for them the next day to bond more. However, the next morning, Jay arrives late to their meeting spot. Taby laughs off the delay, joking about how the hand-drawn map confused him. Just as the hunting group is about to head into the woods, Taby gets an urgent call from a politician named Quiñones. Mrs. Mendez, who stayed in the car to stay warm, steps out. Taby then formally introduces his beautiful wife Mireya to Jay before he answers the call. Suddenly, Taby's hunting dogs and bodyguards start barking loudly. The noise makes Taby take the call in a quieter place, leading him to cancel their hunting trip. He then invites Jay to dinner at his house instead. That evening, Taby's political friends, Ibarra and Diaz, along with their girlfriends, join them for dinner. Ibarra tries to insult Jay, but Jay cleverly mocks him back, which annoys Ibarra. Luckily, Taby eases the tension by inviting the politicians to another room for a private chat. In that meeting, Ibarra arrogantly tells Taby that the union rejected his offer and is asking for more money. Upset, Taby confronts Ibarra and Diaz, knowing they will keep most of the money for themselves. He also doesn't like Ibarra's insult towards Jay. At Taby's command, Elefante, one of his men, shoots Diaz. Ibarra, sweating and scared, quickly agrees to work for Taby, pledging his loyalty to him. Meanwhile, Jay and Mireya chat in the library. She shares that her father offered her hand in marriage when Taby saved him from financial trouble. She explains that even though their marriage was arranged, she truly married Taby because she loved him. The next morning, Jay and Rocky come back from grocery shopping with a bag of lemons and other items. To his surprise, Mireya is happily waiting outside his house. Jay invites her into his bungalow and offers to make her lemonade. Feeling nervous about the unexpected visit, he starts to prepare the drink but accidentally drops the lemons. He quickly bends down to pick them up, and Mireya helps him gather the scattered lemons. As they share a glance, Jay and Mireya can't deny their attraction to each other. Rocky's bark breaks the moment, urging them to go outside. At the beach, Mireya curiously asks Jay about his past marriage. After a moment to think, Jay admits that he was married once but is now divorced. He adds that spending more time with planes than with his ex-wife likely caused the separation. Suddenly, rain starts to fall. Jay gently brushes a wet strand of hair from Mireya's face, but she steps back, saying she needs to go, struggling to resist the growing connection between them. The next night, Tebby hosts a party for Quiñones at his hacienda. Jay comes out of respect for his friend, but Caesar notices him looking at Tebby's wife too often and has a few words with him. Annoyed, Jay decides to leave. Meanwhile, Tebby, full of energy as the party host, hits the dance floor. He enjoys the music, twirling his jacket above his head and dancing with guests, even taking off his bow tie. As Jay prepares to leave, he finds himself alone in a dimly lit coat room, searching for his jacket. Unnoticed, Mireya quietly slips in behind him, careful not to be seen. When their eyes meet, Jay locks the door, both knowing they can no longer ignore their feelings. Outside, Caesar walks by the coat room and hears the lock click. He tries the door, finds it locked, and walks away. As the night goes on, Tebby starts to worry when he realizes he hasn't seen his wife for a while. He scans the crowd but can't find her. The next day, Tebby's friends, Baroni and Carlos, face Jay and Tebby in a doubles tennis match. Baroni plays unfairly, which frustrates Jay, but Tebby calmly tells Jay to let Baroni win since he needs a favor from him. Angered, Jay ignores this and hits the ball hard at Baroni, striking him. Mireya watches from a distance, focused on Jay as he and Tebby win the match. After the game, they return to the patio, where Tebby mentions he and Mireya have been arguing lately. Then he unexpectedly asks Jay if he thinks his wife is beautiful. Jay replies with a simple, "Yes," but the question makes him uneasy. With a serious expression, Tebby vows to do whatever it takes to keep his wife. This weighs heavily on Jay, leading him to call Madero in California. He admits to his friend that he has fallen in love with Mireya. Concerned for Jay's safety, Madero urges him to leave immediately, knowing the risks of having an affair in Mexico. Jay hesitates before ending the call with Madero, not making any promises. The next day, Tebby holds a shooting practice at the hacienda, while Jay and Mireya secretly meet at the beach house. As Jay wishes they could escape without Tebby finding out, they decide to plan a secret weekend getaway at Jay's cabin. Meanwhile, Tebby, suspicious of Mireya, listens to a recorded phone call between her and her sister Isabella. During the call, Mireya asks Isabella to say she's visiting her in Miami if Tebby calls to check on her. The next day, Tebby arrives at Jay's bungalow with a fake smile. Jay feels uneasy but tries to stay calm. Tebby asks Jay to fly him somewhere for the weekend, but Jay declines, saying he plans to rest at his cabin instead. He carefully avoids revealing their romantic getaway plans. Tebby seems to accept Jay's refusal and hands him a ticket to Italy, suggesting he use it to customize the shotguns he received. Unknown to Jay, this is Tebby's way of giving him one last chance to back out of the affair. Later, Tebby drives Mireya to the airport for her flight to Miami. He hugs her tightly, tears in his eyes. Mireya, unaware that Tebby knows the truth, laughs lightly and assures him it's just a short trip. Moments later, Jay arrives at the airport, not for Italy, but to meet Mireya for their getaway. They share a passionate kiss before heading to the cabin. That night, as they relax in the cabin, a group of men bursts in. Rocky barks to warn them, but is quickly silenced. Jay is pushed back while a henchman restrains Mireya. Tebby confronts her, revealing his anger. Jay is thrown to the floor as Mireya screams. Tebby warns her of serious consequences, and one of his men drags Jay outside, accidentally dropping his dog tags. In desperation, Mireya grabs one before she is taken away. Tebby orders the cabin to be set on fire. As dawn breaks, Jay's unconscious body is left at the roadside, tumbling down into the desert. Mireya is taken away while Ramon instructs a caretaker to watch her closely. In the desert, Mauro and his daughters find Jay barely alive and take him to La Vieja, a healer. Mireia, dazed from medication, meets Antonio, who becomes her friend. After weeks, Jay wakes with broken bones but begins to recover. Feeling stronger, Jay returns to his burnt cabin, finds his hidden cache, and discovers one of his dog tags. Mireia, still weak, clings to Jay's other tag for hope. Mauro urges Jay to leave for safety, suggesting Tibby is in Durango with Mireia. At dinner, Tibby sits with a woman he doesn't love for political reasons. The next morning, Mauro drives Jay to town for his train. At a cantina, Jay helps a sick Texan and is surprised to see Elefante enter. Seizing the moment, Jay attacks Elefante before escaping with the Texan. Meanwhile, Mireia, believing Jay is dead, becomes desperate and infects herself with illness. The next morning, Jay finds the injured Texan passed out in his car. Unable to travel, the cowboy needs Jay to drive him. When they deliver the horse, Jay sees the buyer is Barone, who spots him and informs Caesar. During the trip, the Texan dies peacefully, and Jay buries him by the roadside. In Durango, Jay uses money from a horse sale to book a hotel room. There he meets Rockstar, a singer searching for her cat. Tired, Jay tries to sleep, but is interrupted by Amador, who tells him Mireia is alive and offers to help find her. To relax, Jay goes to the bar and sees Rockstar flirting with Vaquero, one of Tibby's men. Amador returns with his cousin Ignacio, knowing Mireia is in a brothel but not where. Frustrated, Jay wants to confront Vaquero, but Amador stops him. Rockstar agrees to lure Vaquero backstage at their concert to get information. Meanwhile, Ramon exploits Mireia's weakness, but she fights back. That night, Vaquero reveals Mireia's location, but the men decide to wait until dawn to go. They arrive too late. Mireia is gone, and even the madam has no clue where she's been taken. Later, Tibby's men bring a sick Mireia to a convent. Tibby confronts Ramon, who boasts about harming her. Angered, Tibby insists Mireia deserves respect and orders his bodyguard, Rezabio, to handle Ramon. The next day, Jay learns Mireia is very ill and knows he must confront Tibby. He, Amador, and Ignacio wait for Tibby on his riding trail. As Tibby approaches, Ignacio shoots Rezabio. Tibby confronts Jay alone, holding a pistol, while his men aim shotguns at Jay. Despite the tension, Tibby lowers his weapon, still wearing the jacket Jay gave him. He asks Jay if he's humble enough to seek forgiveness for his betrayal. With tears in his eyes, Jay apologizes for being with Tibby's wife. Tibby then reveals Mireia is in a convent in Merito. After their confrontation, the three men leave Tibby unharmed and hurry to the convent. Moments later, Jay finds the frail, bedridden Mireia. He kisses her softly and tells her he loves her. She whispers that she loves him too, before drifting away in his arms. The dog tag she had clutched for hope slips from her fingers with a soft clink as her strength finally gives out.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.